You're listening to Tour Tech, your 5 weekly takeaways to tourism success. This series is brought to you by the Digital Tourism think tank in partnership with the European project Tourbit, which is co-financed by the European Commission's COSME programme for SMEs. I'm Nick Hall, founder of the Digital Tourism think tank, joined by our series co-host Marie Texier, looking after Tourbit for Paris & Co. And each week, we'll be bringing you insightful discussions with tourism SMEs undergoing digital transformation together with the innovative tech partners who are guiding them on that journey. Have you ever asked yourself how to leverage the value of data in making your business more performant? Well, how about starting with your own data and the enormous value of a robust CRM integrated at the core of your business? Today, we're bringing you an interesting story from the heart of Finland. We're joined by Juha Sorjonen from the agency Avidly, a HubSpot partner, and tourism expert Jaakko Löppönen from Kemi Tourism, known for their breathtaking experiences in Lapland.
In this episode, we're going to learn the great story and really inspiring story also of Kemi Tourism that you have to know was working with pen and paper before COVID, and then the pandemic hit and they really had to rethink their whole strategy and business model and the way they were doing things. So they are now implementing a CRM, you will discover, but it's not only about digitalization, but it's also about the entrepreneurship mindset you need to have when you lead a business. So I would advise you to really sit down, be in a quiet space and enjoy this discussion about entrepreneurship and the good question you have to ask to yourself to make sure your business is still growing.
So it's going to be a little bit like going back to school for a strategy masterclass.
Exactly. And it's for free.
Well, let's jump straight in.
So my name is Juha Sorjonen and coming from the agency called Avidly. Avidly is the leading marketing technology company in Europe, and we are the largest HubSpot service provider in the world. My background is coming very strongly from the tourism and hospitality industry, and delighted to be part of the Tourbit project. And Kemi Travel is one of our key customer, and we are very happy to able to support the company in their digitalization journey.
Thank you, Juha. And Jaakko, can you present yourself in Kemi Tourism?
My name is Jaakko Löppönen. I work as the Chief Executive Officer here in Kemi Tourism Ltd. This company, Kemi Tourism, has a long story from 1970s, 1980s in various forms, but this current form of this company is based on the structure from 1980s. And what we do, rather easy to say, we produce 2 world-famous products in field of tourism. The legendary icebreaker Sampo with icebreaking cruises from the late 80s till today, visiting visitors arriving from more than 50 countries for these over 30 years. So we have a bit of track record behind us. And another famous product of ours is the Snow Castle, which we built the first one, I don't recall the exact year, a bit later than we started the icebreaking cruises in early 90s. But it was a snow castle built as a gift for the whole world together with UNESCO and to create joy for the kids around the globe to see what an Arctic snow castle would look like and be like and experience it. But this is the core basis of our services. And on top of that, we operate the snow castle area and also do the overseas sales of the bigger region called Sea Lapland over here. And not to mention, I want to say first of all, of course, we are proud to be one of the well-known key players from the Finnish Lapland. So this is our position. Great to be here.
Thank you so much, and well done for everything you have done so far. Can you tell us more, Jaakko, about your digital challenges and how did you end up working with Avidly?
Yeah, so I would start it. I've been in my position for a year and a half now, so relatively new as the CEO over here. I have a 20-something year background in tourism field around Finland and also Europe behind me. But when I came to this company, as in introduction, thanks for the lovely introduction, was said, we were really hit by the pandemic. And before the pandemic, we used to work with pen and paper. A lot of our sales processes were run really, really manually. And it was able to continue because we have a long story behind. So the regular customers purchase the services with the regular ways already done for years and years and years. Then came the pandemic. We lost the customer base. The demand got halted. And so no turnover. But also what happened at the same time? We lost regular buyers. The buyers might be same as organization, but the people changed. And then we were in a strategic question that can we return to the same position? Can we go back to manual like commerce? No option. Either we will fall, vanish out, or we need to digitalize ourselves. But the problem was that since there's a long background and everything is running, we needed to find a way to be alive and renew ourselves. Like in the world of animals, you switch your skin, but you still stay alive, and then after a while you need to be a new organization. So we address the issue that this is not a quick fix. This is a big issue, a strategic issue, and will take at least 2 to 4, 5 years in full scale. But how we need to start it is step by step, like a marathon run. But this is the way we address the issue.
Okay, thank you for this explanation and the story behind that. Juha, so what is the solution you are bringing with Avidly to Kemi tourism?
Yeah, so the starting point in our cooperation was to establish an overall view what is important and what is acute right now. So doing such a short, agile strategy work, one pager as a result. So we understand what is the objectives, what are the targets, what is the mindset for the future. And especially in Finland, we have faced a very serious damages due to the COVID season. But we started with a short strategy work and then identify what are, as Jaakko told, that this is a journey. So what are the first steps? And from our point of view, it was very delighted to see that the attitude, the mindset was very strong. So we will not give up. We will challenge the market and we will redesign the whole operational model. And now we are proceeding with the first steps. And what is the most important? The customer base, the customer insight, understanding, and especially the knowledge of the customers is very, very important. Because the Kemi destination is global destination. So it's a very versatile, very attractive from different nationalities for different kind of visitors, not only for, but as well for Finnish tourists as well and the local people. But the starting point was we have the empty table actually, and it was very, very easy. So we don't have to think about what is the history and what are the tools and so on. So we could start from scratch.
And maybe for the listeners that do not know HubSpot, can you define what is this tool?
Yeah. So the HubSpot is the leading marketing technology platform ecosystem, if I say. And in the core of HubSpot is the customer data. And then HubSpot supports and provides different tools for sales, for marketing, for customer service, and for data management. And one of the HubSpot strengths is the integration properties. So there are hundreds or even thousands of different third-party tools which can be integrated seamlessly to the core platform. And from the SME company's point of view, it's very suitable for the one-person hospitality tourism company up to the Fortune 500 organizations or corporations. And you can build HubSpot step by step. But of course, you have to know what is the target, what is the star on the sky where you are aiming. But you will learn. And of course, when the market change, technology change, so you must be able to change yourself and your processes as well. And that's where HubSpot is very, very strong.
And for Kemi, so first you defined what is the customer, the ideal customer, like we used to call that the persona, for example. And once you know the target, what was the next step you put in place?
The foundation and the whole framework should be planned at the first point, and then collecting the customer data, who we know, what are the new potential buyers. But the first approach and the priority approach was sales-driven operations. Some companies are starting with the marketing or they start with customer service, but it seems the choice has been correct that Kemi Tourism started with the sales implementation, because fast results and the operation must be running all the time.
Yeah, I could add on that. At the start, even before contacting Avidly, it's overwhelming because our strategic challenge was after 15 minutes, we realized that, okay, we are now in middle of terms of business intelligence and enterprise resource planning and CRM and data driven and processes and integrations and APIs and all this stuff. So switching from manual sales process to digitally driven sales process was like the choice we made. Not to start with the marketing, not to start with collecting all data available, but to really ask, how do we do our sales at the moment? Then ask Avidly that could HubSpot be the tool to help us put that internal business intelligence into a digital form, so that when employees change, situations vary, we can repeat the successful sales process. And I don't need to think as the CEO that if I lose one key person, the whole sales process walks out the door. So this is also, if you are working as of a one person company or a bigger SME, I see that the question is same. And what we also asked from Avidly about the HubSpot, of course, we did our background research ourselves, and I personally had some knowledge behind me. But the key question is that, okay, is it simple enough to start? Because we are not using anything. But is it big enough to grow with us for the next 5 to 10 years? And this was a key question when you choose systems that, okay, it soon after the processing at this moment, it starts to grow, it starts to expand like a live organism. Now we have HubSpot, we identify new integration needs, we need more business intelligence, the process will need to be more efficient and fluent and so on and so on. But this was the key question, to start simple, find something that works efficiently, and when we can prove that, okay, this is better than the old one, then try to enhance it, empower it, do it more. Rather simple.
And this is not only the technological question, this is as well the change management thing, because the technology is it's enabling to do the things differently. And this is as well the question of the human resources as well. So you have to educate or coach. So you have to make the sales and marketing and reception, for example, to understand how we and why we utilize digital tools. in operation because the information is scattered in different customer touchpoints around the company, including the hotel and the activities and the icebreaker ship and so on. So the data will be collected in the shared place to provide the visibility what is happening right now in the organization, and especially for the forecasting purposes, how we are going to do business in the near future, what are the pipelines, what is the quotation base, and including what are the customer satisfaction rates.
I totally agree with you. And I think you got it right. Like to start simple, to grow with a tool as your business is growing, and also to educate your employees. Talking about educating your employees, did you already train them or do you plan to train them on the HubSpot tool?
So the HubSpot is very easy to learn. So the basic operations are if you use email or other web services, you can very easily learn to use HubSpot. But of course, we need some play rules because the unified way to use tools and HubSpot is the central question. So it's like a chain. If you have one broken link in the chain, the whole system it's not working. So people must understand that, okay, I will use the HubSpot in this way, but my colleague or the customer service is using that way, because information is stored from different sections from the company. But of course, basic education is definitely needed, and it's a quality management thing. So you will guarantee that people understand. There are no stupid questions because the tool is probably new for the people. So starting from the very basics, but typically it's a very short session, and we prefer to organize such a workshops, and they are not such a traditional education or lessons. So learning by doing is the approach to deploy the system for production use.
I could also add another layer. That's a very good question, Mary, because you can learn to use the tool. You can learn to use it to work through your process you need to get done. But started out, the whole company used to work in very old-fashioned way. The mindset wasn't digital in the scope of the whole company. So what we are doing now, since we are rolling in the tool, and it started to make sense for people that, okay, we started talking about something called pipeline. What is pipeline? Not plumbing, at least. It needs to be something different. And no one knew what is a pipeline. Now they know what the pipeline will mean in the process. But again, the bigger question is, what is the impact of a pipeline or a good customer relationship management processes? What is the impact? So what we are doing now in extending the tool, we wrote to our strategy. First of all, number one for the company to succeed is the people that create the services. And now we started this year, really, now we are sitting in January now doing this podcast. So in the beginning of this year, the mid-management, so you could call, we are putting all them to an education. We are going through what is the personal experience and the competence kind of level for them to run the processes and teams and everything. So it's a big process. And now we got the tool, and now we need to really educate the people both to use the tool and understand why do the tool exist.
Yeah, and did you feel, Jaakko, that in your company some people were more reluctant using HubSpot and some other were happy to a new tool? Like, did you have like both a mindset in your company?
Of course. And this is my personal experience. I've done a lot of change management. So the majority was like, okay, another system. Why do we need a HubSpot? Hey, we can do it like we used to do it. Then we start to talk about the personal problems. For example, us running sales processes globally with different time zones. I asked from the salespersons, what are the key issues we are missing the sales? And they say to us, there is not enough us, because we should be sitting here 24/7 answering the emails and phone calls, because when they call from India, they are from different time zone, different culture, and they want to answer right now. And over here in Finland, we are like, oh, okay, it's Friday, 4 p.m. I will head home with family and let's continue it on Monday. So when we ask from the sales team what is the biggest problems, we could open these issues up, and then we come back saying that, okay, this is what we need the HubSpot. We need the processes to be run in the future when we make it further, even more automated, so that the frequently asked questions related to the sales processes will be handled by the system, or a few clicks, not a long phone call in middle of night to somewhere. So this makes sense to the salespeople, and this is how they understood that actually this is not against me, this is for me, this is how I will success in my duties.
And makes work life much, much easier, because finding information, or you can trust the information what you have, and especially when you need somebody else information, it makes your daily job much, much convenient and faster as well.
And for our listeners, for them to picture what you are doing exactly through HubSpot, can you share with us a few examples of, for example, sales funnel you put in place or strategy to collect data? Concrete example to just picture what you are doing through HubSpot.
One of the fundamental thing is there are lots of data out there available, or it can be your own data, or you can collect the data from social media or from the different service providers as well. But the problem is that you must understand the data. And what comes to the buyers, for example, there are many, many kind of buyers. So you have to segment, you have to profile to identify what are the most interesting forthcoming cooperation partners or buyers, because it's typically a question of selection, and so you cannot probably serve everybody. You must do some choices. And one thing in the background is the idea that you are dealing with the right companies, with the right persons, and you know the history as well, what you have been dealing with. As Jaakko told, that a company probably will remain the same, but the people change. So you must understand what we have been doing during the last 5 years, because typically these cooperation relationships are quite long lasting. But of course, you need the new buyers as well to do the marketing and sales promotion activities. That's why I would like to emphasize understanding your data, because it doesn't help you at all if you have 5,000 contacts, but you don't know what to do with the data.
I could add on that it's easy to understand what we do with the HubSpot when I say that, okay, we change the titles of the salespersons using the HubSpot first. They are now account managers. And to manage an account, you need to understand how we produce the services, what is needed to make it happen. An ice-breaking cruise, early morning, 8 o'clock, customers arriving all around the globe to finish Lapland, then they jump on bus, they drive more than an hour in bus to the harbor in Kemi, and then they walk to the icebreaker and have a 4-hour icebreaking cruise with floating and everything over there. And it's a once in a lifetime bucket list item for many customers. Okay, we need to understand what is needed from us and our participants and fellow companies to make all this happen. Then the account manager needs to understand what are the needs of the customer. Majority of the customers are kind of in the B2B to C. So we work with the B2B sales, ending with the customer from B2C on their level. But we also process directly from us to B2C commerce. So we sell directly or indirectly via different sales channels. So when you think of this account management, previously, as mentioned, we did it with email and phone calls. and all the data was in email. If a group had a change in passengers, they wanted to switch their cruise from Tuesday to Wednesday. How did they reach us and how did we reach them? How did we create the contact with customer? How did we manage all the data? And what if the salesperson handling all the group data in his or her personal email happens to be sick? Then it's like chaos. And what we use HubSpot is to simplify. I simplify a lot, but as of first a tool to the account manager and the member of sales team to make this all happen more fluently, more organized, tapping in the customer data, making it a sales process where we know that it started from the first contact, then it will go through 5 steps, and if and how we want it to happen, the last step is that the sales is done and the customer is happy. And then when the next cruise season comes, we can come back to all those sales processes and just send them an info that, hey, should we book another 50 tickets like we did last year to you? And so it will have a cumulative benefit year after year and season after season. This is the very pragmatic side of what we are targeting. Then it will expand and enhance together with marketing communication, like data structures from customer relationships, profiling, and a lot of things. But a typical problem with these processes, as I personally have experienced, is that we fall in love with the digital and the technology. Like getting a new tool is really fancy. It's like, woo, yes, something new, wow. But after 2 months or 6 months, it gets a burden. You're like, oh my, this tool, it was easier before. So we really need to walk through with small steps and give support from the management, but also to challenge all the personnel to go on the uncomfortable zone. Ask the questions over and over and over again. What is HubSpot? Why do we use it? Will it make any benefit? Is it good for me? Is it good for the company? Is it good for the client? And when out from that, all account managers actually start to say that, yeah, this is pretty fluent at the moment. And they start to talk about their own ideas. How can we go further? Then we're on the right track. So I emphasize a lot that our point of view, how we address the issue, because we are not a technological startup company with that our key force and the competitive edge is not the tools. It's actually the icebreaker ship Sampo, because it's the only one in the world in this sea that can make it. Though the competitive edges is not in the tools and processes, it's the actual product. But how can you use this competitive edge with a really good setup of tools and capabilities to run the business? Then we need tools like HubSpot and enhancing to other tools also and integrating.
So HubSpot allows you to have a smoother and more fluent way of working, but it also makes the end customer happy because they have a more accurate answer or more fast answer as well. So at the end, it's also for you a way to gain loyalties from your customer, right?
It's like going to the place where you get a coffee cup with your name written on it. But I think it would be annoying if you go to your regular coffee house and they actually know you already. And they don't even ask your name because the regular one, and they know your name and write it there. So you get used to that. You actually start to expect that, okay, they know me. They know what I drink. But what if each morning when you go there, they would ask that, excuse me, who are you? And you are in a mindset that they know me. And they start to ask, the people start to say, they started like over and over again each morning. This is what we did. Our sales member was changed. The customer might be purchasing from us more than 10 years. And they were irritated also. They addressed me as a CEO that, hey, come on. We've been working with you guys 10 years. And now you are like, we started out fresh. So this was a strategic problem was us that, okay, we have a lot of business intelligence, a lot of data, a lot of know-how also on the process and about the customer. but we don't use it. It's somewhere hidden. It's in people's mindset. And for that reason, of course, on the other side, people do the business. This is people's business. But we really need good digital tools that are evolving all the time. They need to be also like, why do we expect HubSpot to really help us is also that our understanding at the moment is to be proven in future is that HubSpot is big enough to support our growth, but also challenge us with their new ideas and all the huge customer base providing new ideas and so on. And this is why we wouldn't proceed with the process like do it yourself. We wanted to also ask Avidly the question that, okay, this is a long track issue. Can you help us and be the professionals to know what is happening on the side of the HubSpot? Because we don't have time and effort and know-how to follow what is going on in there.
Yes, and I would like to add the process is two-way. So if you enable or if you give digital tools and services for the customers as well, it's make their life and their daily job much easier. So HubSpot and about when it comes to the sales or marketing, you must remember it's a two-way process. It's not only what you say or what you offer. It's also for the least enabling customer to operate together with you, communicate as easy as possible.
I would say on that issue that how I think, and I would give a tip to all listeners out there that sit down and ask yourself how to do business with me. Is the answer clear to the rest of the world? So how do you do business with us? In many cases, it's clear for us, but if you really sit down and ask, be also humble enough to ask from your buyers or clients and outside world that do they see clear how to do business with us? At our case, they didn't. They started to really open up and say to me that no, we don't know how to do business. You have a great product, but we don't know how to purchase it. Or the big buyers said that, okay, you have a great product, we've been purchasing it for years, but keep in mind, we used to make the order with email, but we changed our processes that it's denied to create the order with the old-fashioned way, so we need new ways to create the orders. So even though we are not changing at some point, the rest of the world is changing. So they act differently, they buy differently. And we can all think it as individual humans over here. Do we buy the hotel room at the same way we did? Do we expect them to know who we are if we purchase often? And so on and so on. So ask yourself how to do business with us and answer it as clear as you can. Because the world is actually asking, is your product available and how much does it cost? Okay, we need e-commerce on that solution, the capacity handling and price handling and inventory handling. But when you have the inventory, how do you communicate with customer? How do you run the sales processes and marketing messages and keep it all in a clear package? Keeping in the value of the brand, keeping it united with the brand, and also making sure that on Monday you don't give different answer to the same customer than you give on Thursday. So how do you make this all happen? And like our challenge was, how do you make this happen in the business scale of global customers? We are a very small company in a small town over here. So the only answer was that, okay, we really need to rebuild the whole setup of the digital tools to help us out with these challenges.
I think your story can really inspire also SME that would like to reach overseas markets. Because as you said, you are located in Kemi, you are only operating mainly from December to March. And so what's going to happen the rest of the year? Your business still needs to be running. So what you say about being organized and be able to know your customer well and being able to answer fast to overseas customer is super important for you to keep running the rest of the year.
I think you're really right, Mari. I think the key question in the field of tourism as of a trade is also that if you don't need the growth, then it's fine. But like for us over here, the cost structure is growing, and actually we need to grow to keep us alive. We need to keep moving to stay alive. And for us, what does it mean? We opened the map, looked that we work with the global customers. All sales processes are 12 to 24 months forward. We are not selling now the January 2024. Our sales team is working with the January 25 now. And thinking of that the world will change many times in between that time period, and also thinking that Finland is like an island here. Long logistical process for anyone to get here, and even in Kemi. So how do you make this happen? We really need to think the processes, to the time window in which we need to go through the sales funnel. And this was a challenge for us. And after the pandemic, how I see in the rest of the world is the same situation. We need to do different risk management. And what this means is that, okay, in the summertime over here, our service is mostly provided for the local customers and the domestic demand. But the whole winter and more than 70% of our turnover is done in the winter season to the overseas sales. So that is how we live. And to keep yourself in that position, we need new go-to-market capabilities. We don't want to go to the risk position that we have only one overseas market, for example, Asia. We only work with Asia. Okay, it might work for a year, for 5 years, even 10 years, but then something happens and we are not present in the US market. And now what we are doing also with this HubSpot and so on is that we need all the sales processes, customer relationships, and all the resource handling done in a way that we create, hopefully, a smaller risk with spreading the go-to-market planning more. At the moment, we have 150 resellers around the globe. Around 100 of them are active roughly each week, almost in a worst case scenario with a smile, almost in a day. So we cannot actually give payroll to 10 or 20 people in our sales team to manage that amount of questions and booking related issues and different issues from all these reselling channels. We decided that, okay, we need to expand the market. We need to go further on the markets. We are not so well known and present at the moment. But to make that happen, we cannot just get more people. We need better tools. So now we are in a frame of 5 to 6 sales team members at the moment. And they are doing the job with the right tools and the help of key partners.
Since how long have you been working with HubSpot? Because we can see that you already have great feedback and results from your use.
I think it's a bit more than a year now.
So I think it's encouraging for our listeners that in less than a year, you can already see results and improvement in your sales processes. So they should not be afraid of investing in such a tool, but they should be curious about that to see where it can lead them.
There has been also so-called low-hanging fruits. So you will get fast results quite quickly within first months, but you must be quite focused how you implement the tool. So implementing step by step and giving the fast results for the users, it will encourage and motivate to learn more and to develop the tool in the future later on as well.
For an example, to get results, one of the results is also, or the biggest one is the learning. We made a bold step, I think. We started with the sales process, but okay, very ambitious, but not that ambitious that we would like change it all over in a week or a month or a half year. Kind of continuing the old ways and bringing the new in as we go. But for example, it was a week ago, I think, we just figured out that, hey, okay, now we are progressing with the HubSpot and so on, with the processes and the data. But we don't have a digital channel manager in-house. So now we know better the processes on the side of the HubSpot, but we don't have a key person to really figure out how can we manage the channels, how we distribute, because it's in no one's daily role just to focus on that. And I think it was last week, the beginning of this year, we recruited, and now we have a digital channel manager in-house. So it will bring another layer again, also on the next steps with the HubSpot, and hopefully challenge Juha and Juha's team over in Avidly also, that we go further on. How do we integrate and see the bigger picture with these processes running? How can we know what is, for example, the level of demand via the account manager processes, so that the channel managers knows where to close capacity and where to open capacity, where to be aggressive with the pricing and where not to be aggressive with the pricing. So very pragmatic daily issues for all size of companies, but you need to think that how do we do it? How could we do it a bit more, maybe a bit simpler, clarify the processes internally?
And I'm wondering, so HubSpot is a tool itself, so you can try it by yourself and implement it by yourself. So why did you choose, Jaakko, to work with Juha as an agency to help you implement HubSpot?
The key issue was that in the focus of management I speak now, was that we saw that we could do it ourselves, the first 2 steps needed. So we can open the tool, get a license to the tool and create the accounts there and kind of start working with it. But we knew that we don't have the knowledge and in daily actions the time to really keep pushing the tool for at least needed 2 years to make not the low-hanging fruit, but to also plant a new tree and get totally new volume of fruits. So we could pick up the low-hanging fruit, but miss the whole field of new trees. And this is why we started seeking a partner. And one of the benefits was, of course, since I think also the tourism is a very specific trade. It's full of different specific regulations and different ways to work the business. And it has like layers of related impacts. So we also tried to find an almost impossible situation that, okay, we need a technological agency that can work with the tools, but they would need to understand enough about the tourism. And this is how we matched with Juha.
And I could say that it's a very good advantage. You understand what is the business as usual in your industry or what are the key markets. So it's not only about the technology, but it's a very important to understand in which context, in which business environment you are implementing the tools, because the maturity to levels, they change a lot. For example, in Finland, there are some very progressed, very developed companies in tourism and hospitality industry, but some are still working with a pen and paper. And that's why, and of course, from Avidly point of view, Kemi tourism is its key product in Finland. And when the attitude and the mindset to growth and digitalize your business to look new markets, it's very tempting. And we are very, very delighted to have a cooperation over 1 year. And obviously, the journey will continue according to the milestones and the phases what are coming. So you have to be a little bit patient as well. But getting the fast results will keep you on track. So it's a marathon. It's no worth to start with a 100 meters heartless competition. You have to remember that this is a long journey.
I want to add on that and advise all that it's not about whether you do it yourself or do it with the help of partners. There are a lot of also other tools available. As we know, there are a bunch of very good tools available. try out different ways, do it yourself way or with partners. But I would advise that think that this is a critical issue how to do the business in the future. So these things are so critical. I would advise that once in a while, our executive team, I say that we need to go in front of a mirror and look ourselves again and again and again and ask what are we missing, what we don't know. Because like with the HubSpot, for example, once we think that, okay, now we know, now, okay, we could like make a call to Juha and said, okay, we don't need you anymore. We can do it ourselves and we are now good with the HubSpot. Before to making that call, go in front of the mirror and ask that, okay, what do you actually know about the HubSpot? What do you know about the processes? What do you know about the digital processes, integrations? What do you know actually what is available? To me, the key answer to this is that we don't know what we don't know. So it's like you need to be very open-minded, but also think that what is the value of the question? For us, the value of the question was that if we don't digitalize ourselves in this global market space, we will vanish out. We are gone. So the importance is in that level. And if it's such critical, then maybe it's not point of view of shortly doing it yourself method, trying something out and say, it didn't work, just skip it. It's more in the strategic sense that you really understand that now we are in the true core of our company, of our business, of our employees. And it's nothing to play with. It's nothing to experiment in the wrong way. So we are ready to also face the bad days. We are ready to face the issues that it doesn't work. It doesn't feel a glamorous journey of new digital world. But my advice really for many is that really think what is the value of the question. If you need overseas customers, if you need to play bigger, you need bigger tools. You just simply cannot do it yourself with the old-fashioned ways. Simplified.
And if we are looking for the competition point of view, you must understand that your competitors may develop the business in any way. So do you risk your business to stay and hope that somebody will come and save you? So you have to be proactive and to see what is happening in the markets, and especially what are your competitors doing. But I would like to emphasize the customer needs and the demand as well. But do not forget to see a little bit around what is going on in your segment.
And also think that, like I mentioned, our competitive advantage is the ship, the icebreaker Sampo. So we keep on that. We are proud of that. But we need to rewrite the playbook. Because before you go to the digital tools, you need to be able to answer, how do you work? How do you do your businesses? There's no help of the tool if you try to fix your not working processes with a new tool. So I think that also it's good that you really ask the question how to do business with us, because it's also an internal question.
I appreciate your management method, like asking yourself questions, being always questioning yourself to improve and move forward. I think it's a great way to end up this amazing discussion. Thank you for sharing this collaboration. And I'm sure that after this podcast, our listeners will question themselves, ask themselves how to do business with myself. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I should try a new tool. I can really feel that this discussion will help us to grow as Mary, as you, as a person, but also as a business. So I hope our listeners will be as happy as me right now. And can you just tell us, Jaakko, how can we find more information about your company if we want to travel with Kemi, for example?
So our website is at the called name experience365.fi. So over there on the website you can find all the information, the regular information. Our company is found with a lot of tags, with Icebreaker Sampo, Kemi, visit Kemi, Experience 365 from different social media channels. And for example, me myself, you can find me from LinkedIn and just contact me and ask the questions also related to this podcast. Directly ask that, hey, what do you mean by that? Or can we come and familiarize ourselves with the way you work with the business? Because I want to at this end also say that this ecosystem of tourism and trade, this world is actually rather small. And I hope all you listeners, when you ask someone, you will find very shortly someone from at least tourism sales agencies that know Sampo Icebreaker. So that's one way to get known with us. Ask if they know Sampo Icebreaker and they will tell what is it about.
Thank you. And also, I think there is a spirit of solidarity and helping each other also in the tourism area.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we only can success with our successful partners. And like I mentioned, we have more than 100 resellers around the globe. We want to make them successful, for example. This is our way of thinking. And this is also the way of building the new tools, because these tools will help them to success, and therefore we will success. So it's not only for us. It's a business ecosystem that is running, and more we share tools, but on top of that, more we share ideas and talks and energy with people, we will success. So this was my pleasure.
And Juha, how can we know more about Avidly? And can you let us know if we are located outside of Finland? Can we still work with your company?
Yes, of course. And so our website is avidlyagency.com, and there are country-specific sites available as well. And we are operating in several European countries and in US and Canada and in Australia also. So certainly, please do not hesitate to contact me or any Avidlians in LinkedIn or in social media. So we are definitely delighted to help you. And of course, the HubSpot corporation itself is always ready to help you. But I would strongly recommend to have a first talks with a HubSpot partner, so you will find suitable approach and setup. So, and typically they don't cost you nothing. So starting with the discussions early as possible, you will build a solid road for your digital journey.
Another interesting discussion. So what was your biggest takeaway from that?
I would say that you have to be surrounded by the good person. So Kemi Tourism found Avidly for the HubSpot CRM. They also found employees that are keen to change their habit and implement new processes. And also the good partners that are able to also work with them throughout the world. So your network is really key to grow.
So this idea of building an ecosystem is really, really key.
Exactly. First, you have to build a good ecosystem, but also you have to choose the tools that can be scalable, of course, because your business, I wish that for all of you, will grow. And also you will have to ask yourself the good question to make sure you're going in the right direction.
Great. Well, as always, we've put together 5 key takeaways. So that just leaves us to say,
see you next Monday. Don't forget to subscribe.
Today, we explored how Kemi Tourism saw the pandemic as an opportunity to rethink their strategy and undergo a digital transformation journey, implementing HubSpot as their CRM right at the heart of the business and as a key component in driving that change. In a changing digital world, businesses need to adapt, and when customers have high demands, SMEs need to be able to react and deal with their needs in a digital, smart, and efficient manner to maintain that competitive edge. So, what are the key takeaways we can consider from today's insightful discussion? First of all, customer centricity is key. Understanding and segmenting customer data ensures tailored and impactful interactions, reinforcing the importance of placing customers at the heart of digital strategies. Second, invest in employee training. Adoption of and adaptation to new tools requires ongoing education and growth support for everyone in the company, meaning entrepreneurs need to be constant change managers and focused on the change management happening all the time within the business. This is key to being successful and implementing ongoing digital transformation. Number 3, innovative tools can really support sustainable growth for the business. The implementation of HubSpot showcased how important it is to choose the right digital tools that can support businesses to scale efficiently and enhance customer satisfaction and the overall competitiveness of the business at large. Ensure that you keep an open mind to the digital tools that can transform your business and stay curious so you can grow and evolve with trends in and outside of the business. Number 4, the power of a good CRM. CRMs allow us to collect data from different systems, not only customer data, group them into one tool and automate repetitive tasks, analyzing the data we have at hand and ensuring we can be smart, agile, and ultra-focused in our approach. And lastly, number 5, be your best critic. Regularly questioning your business practices fosters a culture of continuous improvement and innovation. And it is important in a world that never stops changing that we embrace change, that we don't only be our own best critic, but we also actively invite others to give input on how we can improve. And that concludes our 5 key takeaways for this week's episode, inspired by yet another fascinating story of transformation. You've been listening to Tour Tech. That's a wrap for another week. If you liked today's episode, be sure to leave a review and share amongst your networks across social. These 2 small actions make a really big difference. We appreciate the time you take to listen and, of course, to share. Make sure you don't miss future episodes. New episodes are released every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcasting platforms. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and get your podcasts every week in your inbox. Tourbit is a partnership co-funded by the European Commission's COSME program for small and medium-sized enterprises, and it's led by an incredible team of partners who are all as passionate about what they do as the businesses they're supporting. This includes the Catalan Tourist Board, Barcelona Chamber of Commerce, Paris & Co., Tourism 4.0 in Slovenia, Hub Brussels, Iceland's Tourism Cluster, the Lapland University of Applied Sciences, and NEST, the Tourism Innovation Centre in Portugal. On behalf of these incredible partners at Tourbit and the European Commission, and of course here at the Digital Tourism Think Tank, thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week.